Alright, I booted up the test drive again. Mainly because someone, if you're watching, you know who you are, said that people might not know how to use Hellfires. So, I'm here to show you how to use them, just in case you don't know. Hellfires are top-down missiles, which means rather than just fly straight at that tank right there, they're gonna fly up and then come down. What this allows them to do is they don't have to go through the thick frontal armor. But the con of that is that things like the T-72 right here, or any T-series, including Chinese, they have a problem of, if you lock up the target, let's make sure I don't crash, you'll see I'm aiming like dead center. Well, when that missile hits dead center, it might hit the gun or the breech, or it might just hit the driver and do nothing. So to stop that, what you need to do is, in my last video I showed this as well, have sight stabilization and disable sight stabilization. What this lets you do is, we'll go over here for example, if I press the keybind for it, you'll see this box shows up. And there's a smaller box, but I'm gonna get rid of that for now. What that does is it makes your camera look that way. So say I want it to look that way, and then I go fly this way. Well, my camera's looking over there. So it's pretty useful for that. But also, if it's a more modern helicopter, what it can do is, let's pick him for example. If you press the keybind while hovering over a tank, it starts tracking them. And if they move, I'll test this with a moving vehicle. If they're moving, the camera moves to follow them. Now that you know it can track targets, let's find one of those anti-tires again. We track him. If we press it again, we get the ability to like move our camera while tracking. So let's go back to the moving vehicle. This one. So if I press it again, it's tracking, and I can move the camera around. So what makes that very useful is, like I said earlier about hitting the T-series breach. If I were to, look here, it's aiming center of mass, and it wouldn't really do much, because it's just going to hit the driver and the fuel tank. Well, I'm going to fire the missile, and I'm going to aim at the back of the turret. And you'll see that's exactly where the missile's going to hit. It hit there, it killed all of the crew. So, let's test it against this Leopard. If I just let it aim center of mass and let it do what it wants, I got lucky because the Leopards are very easy to kill compared to a T-series. But if I were to do it against a T-series, you'll see I didn't even do anything. Now, if I were to look at the back of the turret, I kill all of the crew. Also playing in the background because, yes. Light tanks, it doesn't really matter. But, sometimes, maybe your Hellfire misses against the light tank. That's because you weren't looking close enough. You kind of have to point your helicopter at the target, or it might miss. Like it did there. If you're close, you have to point it at the tank. So let's just say I'm pointed like this. Technically, the Hellfire's in launch zone range, but it's not going to turn hard enough for that. You have to point your helicopter at it, and you'll see. Even then, sometimes they miss. That's mainly just because it's kind of weird how it takes like a little bit for them to guide. But you can see them being top attack kind of makes it harder to use them close range. But in my opinion, you shouldn't even be using them at close range. You should be using them at like 4 kilometers or something. Now, they do have an 8-kilometer range, which means you can absolutely snipe people. However, it will take like half a minute to get to that range. So within literally the entire half minute that you're just sitting here lasing this anti-air, he could have killed you like 6 times over. He could have went to bed and woken up, and then the missile's still guiding, and he could have killed you then. But cons and pros and cons. The Hellfires are definitely a very good missile. You just kind of have to know how to use them. And unlike the Vikirs, which if you want I could do a video on because they're pretty much their own beast. Vikirs hold your hand. Hellfires don't. And yeah, that's about it.